Do you smell that burning smell?
Microphone in my mouth. Please take your seats. Turn off anything that is electronic, particularly that which communicates with the outside world. for we are always connected with the outside world. We don't need those gadgets to help us, and they do interfere with the sound system. And greet your neighbor.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome to the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, where we honor you wherever you are on your spiritual path, and know that there is something that you can find here this morning for you on your spiritual path. My spiritual path started this morning 10 years ago. I'd fallen asleep watching Jay Leno or something like that, and was awoken unusually early to a sci-fi movie that I thought was a remake of Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, a reality-based movie, but it was in fact reality. It was the downing of the two towers in New York. It didn't seem to hit me real strongly, not having connections back east, but it was just certainly a bizarre moment. But it was clear that come the next few months that it was what drew me to seek community. And the following Easter, I became a member of this community. So that was one of the small silver linings in that occurrence. I hope that you find your community here. For those of you who are new, that you see what may be available for you in this community. Right now, the words of our morning chant will be on the wall behind me, followed by the words of our spiritual mind treatment offered by our one and only Reverend Carol to take you deeply into your own center.
The day after 9/11, 10 years ago, I wrote this chant for a healing concert we did in Mount Shasta a couple of days after 9/11, and we all sang this together. So if you'll go ahead and bring it out in memoriam and see if we have learned anything in 10 years. May we learn to live in love. May we learn to forgive every where there's no need to blame. May we recognize that deep inside we're all the same. May we learn to forgive every day. May we come from the place where there's no need to blame. May we recognize that deep inside we're all the same. May we learn to live in love. May we learn to forgive every day. May we come from the place where there's no need to blame. May we recognize that deep inside we're all the same. We're all the same. We're all the same.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Carol Huntley, the community spiritual leader. 10 years ago today, on Sunday, September 9th, Reverend Barbara Leger left our community for Ukraine. She went literally from here to stay at the airport, got on a plane on Monday, and landed in Ukraine at approximately 8:30 a.m. New York time. And so our sister community in Ukraine is not only so connected with us, and Reverend Barbara wanted to be here today. We sort of birthed that community and still do through our financial assistance. And it's all wrapped up in what we are looking at today. And the miracle of this morning, the next miracle of this morning is that for the first time we are streaming live around the world right now. And so thank you to Ed Dudkowski, and come with me plunging into God for our morning prayer, knowing that around the world the same thing is happening. People are looking to the infinite presence. We know that infinite presence to be all that is. We know that infinite presence to be the life in everyone and everything, the wisdom that thinks every thought, the storehouse of knowledge that has all answers, and the power to create that creates everything that is known, ever was, and ever will be. And so it is that that power and presence is in us, it is in me, and it is in each one here, expressing through each one as that divine presence. And so it is that as we look into the eyes of each person here, we see the face of God. And not only here, but faces looking into each other's eyes around the world. We know that that is the face of God that is being seen in every culture, in every country, in every church, in every temple, in every synagogue, in every mosque, in every grove, in every temple. It is the infinite presence and the seekers to know that infinite presence more closely. We bless everyone this morning. And in this great, great day, we give our thanks for our life, for the presence of God in us, for these teachings, and we release this prayer into the law, and so it is. Amen. Our artist this morning is family. It's Bodhi. And I want to, but because, like somebody we've been married to for 10 years, we sometimes forget their greatness, I would like to introduce Bodhi. Bodhi Sechko is a composer, teacher, band leader, and producer. He had a #1 CD on the International New Age radio charts and has recorded and performed with numerous artists, including Jai Uttal's producer, Ben Laibach, Anton Miserak, Kathy Zavada, Dave Stringer, Jaya Lakshmi, and I can't pronounce these other three, Shimshai, Aeolia, and Matisha. He currently performs, records, and teaches in Marin County, California. And on September 17th, next Saturday, he will be launching The Tao of Music, a series of play shops covering a wide variety of topics in the music field, including harmony singing, deep listening, freeing your natural voice, and awakening the musician within you. For more information and his product, it's at that table right around there. Please welcome Bodhi Sechko.
I thought we'd sing a chant here in honor of peace today. This is called the Art of Peace. So your part is study the art of peace. Can you say that? Study the art of peace. And you say that 3 times, and then we say today. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace today. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of like war is a way of life for most of the earth. Fighting over water and oil and gold, arguing what it's worth. I like to think there's a better way to work as a team. Just like Martin Luther King, I have a dream. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace today. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace today. So before we spend our money on guns, we have another choice. Speak the truth out from your heart. We have a powerful voice. Find new ways to create peace. You make a difference. Open the door to common ground. Hey, it makes the most sense. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace today. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace today. Sitting real still at the end of day, I find my inner peace. Breathing in and breathing out, joy starts to increase. One step forward, I keep on track, guided by the inner light. The purpose of a life is a giving love, you know, it just feels right. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace today. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace today. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace today. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace. Study the art of peace today. Yeah. Woo.
Song. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Bodhi. Good morning. Oh my goodness. It's so different standing up here and getting to look out at all these glorious beings and faces. I'm Posey Lyon. I'm the practitioner of the morning, and it's my privilege to also talk about what's happening in the community. But first, we recognize the face of God in these beauteous beings on the stage who are going off to teach their teachers the truth about life, the truth about spirit, the truth about all there is. So let's just wave and send them some love energy. Thank you, little ones and big ones and everyone in between. So we usually start the announcements with gratitude, and today I invite you to join with me in gratitude for all of the beloved beings in this community who have graduated from our classes and who have clarified and healed issues in their own life and gone out and blessed the world with that learning, with that healing, with their insights, with their growth. So let's give a round of applause for anyone here who's ever taken a class. So speaking of classes, there's an ongoing new program before the service, Qigong, usually out here. Today it was inside at 8:30 a.m. So if you'd like to embody something new in the physical, I invite you to join in on that. Also, fall classes are gearing up, and I want to say something because I have been teaching classes here for a long time, and when Reverend Carol announced the Prosperity Plus class, there was something in me that went, I'm going to practition it. And I went, oh, come on, I'm so busy, and I'm so glad I listened to that still small voice that was a little louder than usual because it had to get my attention. This class is so rich and juicy, and it reminds me of how all of our classes work in our lives to completely transform, change. And I've been a practitioner for 15 years, and I keep learning and growing every time I either teach or take a class. So I highly recommend that after church you run, don't walk, to the class, to the education table to sign up, and here are your choices coming up. Next week, especially if you are new to the community or just want a little refresher course, our own Gail Durkin over here will be teaching Quick Start right after church from 12:30 to 3:30 at the Learning Center, and you can sign up for that on the table. Also, the three other classes being taught is our own Reverend Carol, and if you haven't taken a class with her, you want to take it. We'll be teaching the foundational class. So if you haven't taken any of the other certificated classes yet, you must take the foundations class to continue on. And our own beautiful, glorious Janet Ryan will be teaching spiritual practices for daily living. And if you really want to go deep and transform your life, to move into the life of your dreams, that's the class for you. And then if you are a practitioner, our own Michael Hart will be teaching the real life of the practitioner, which is like a third year of practitioner training. So there are lots of choices. Make sure that you avail yourself of it because it's in the classes that first of all we get to deepen our sense of community, and second of all we get to learn all the tools that help us practice the presence so that we can step into the life of our dreams more fully. Then, for another goose and a deeper experience of visioning your life so that you are no longer pushed by your pain but pulled by your vision, we have Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith coming again with Ricky Byers-Beckwith. And if you haven't experienced the two of them, you must, or even if you have, you know you must. So is someone giving an announcement?
Are big posters and calling cards that advertise the event. You are the marketing team. Please take some and put them where you get your hair cut, where you get your whole grain bread, where you get your dogs groomed, people like that who want to see Michael Beckwith. Please do that so that we can fill the auditorium.
I go every year to Revelations to get 3 or 4 days of the two of them, so we are so blessed to having him come here. Also, Reverend Dr. Lloyd Tupper, our founder, will be doing his Sundays in the city this afternoon, 2 p.m. There are flyers over there with information and directions. And you'll notice once again, perhaps, on your program, there's a white space. And so what we'd like you to fill out there is, how are you spiritually fed? Because we'll be listening for that. So I invite you to fill out anything. How are you spiritually fed? And prayerfully, some of that is by this community. And finally, if you're here for the first time, we welcome you. We are so grateful that you have answered a call to come and join us, and that you will feel like family and keep coming back. And after service, Reverend Carol will be at the welcome newcomers table. She'd love to get to meet you. So, thank you. Thank you. Oh my goodness. So right after church, we'll set up a circle back here. So if you have ever thought about taking a class, or you want to find out about how to become a practitioner here, or you want to know more about the classes we're offering this fall, we're going to have an informal conversation about classes in the back, and all of the teachers will be there to answer questions and to just have an informal conversation about why classes? This is a spiritual community. What is that about? And how might I change my life by taking classes? So that will be after class in that corner. Thank you.
Thank you, Posey. So, here we go, kids. Our theme for September is lighting a spark. And my topic for today is generating a spark of possibility for peace. Now, our altar is done by Alexandra McGuire today, and there are many symbols of peace, a Kuan Yin, a Buddha, an angel. We have a little baby peace pole, and I really want you to come up and look at this beautiful altar because there are also words of blessing on it, symbolizing the possibility of peace. So I think it's pretty divine that we have the 10th anniversary of 9/11 falling on a Sunday, because I am praying that around the world other communities are talking about how to promote peace. You know, our philosophy must offer wisdom about this event that this is a collective event for most of us that was extremely negative and fearful. And so here we are, a spiritual community, and our philosophy, if it's any good at all, must be able to offer us some deep wisdom and comfort in times of distress, or it's really not worth anything. And since on the surface it looks like science of mind says, it is done unto you as you believe. So your attention, your awareness, your choices, and your beliefs, and the actions that proceed from those beliefs create your experience of your life and our collective experience. Now, this is not to say that we can blame anything on us, because as the song said, it will come from a place where there's no need to blame and recognize that deep inside we're all the same. So that's the basic teaching. And when we have a situation like this where it is a collective negative experience, we wonder, how in the world is this a philosophy of having it done unto me as I believe going to work here? And so as I was contemplating this, and of course it's unavoidable to see the images again, the feelings that I had then came up again, feelings of sadness and kind of a stunned wonder about how in the world, how in this world could this happen. But then, as I remember who I am, a divine incarnation of God with the creative capacity within me to create a better world, thought by thought and action by action, I have to put my attention on what I want to increase and away from the things that I don't want in my life. So that as, I think it was Gandhi, I am the peace that I want to see. That is exactly what each one of us has to be. So what we're going to do today is have kind of a different kind of service. I'm going to talk a little, but then we're going to sing a lot. Because one of the things that I notice is that when we sing, we lose our mind. And it's a really good thing. It's a really good thing sometimes to lose that yappy mind of, yeah, well, what about this, and what about this, and I don't know if I believe that, yep, and sink into our heart, where the harmonies that we make together symbolize the harmony that we want in the world. So in the midst of that, I'm going to ask us 3 questions. And the first question is, what have we learned? You know, how have we changed? And are we any better 10 years later? So if we answer that question, what have we learned? The follow-up questions are we more loving or more fearful after 10 years? Are we more compassionate or more vindictive after 10 years? Are we more connected or more separate after 10 years? And so, since I don't have a lot of time to talk to you about this, I want to plunge into it. A difficult teaching that is, it's kind of, well, maybe it's not difficult for you, but it was for me. So, a natural position to take when we contemplate what happened 10 years ago is, I am not like the terrorists. Those extremists are somebody else, and that is not me. I am not that way. I have nothing to do with those people. They are, actually, that's the beginning of making an enemy when we say, I am not that. We have the opportunity to objectify another and to make them not human, and it makes them easy to hunt and kill. It makes them, it leads to fear, hatred, war, and destruction of whole societies. And so I looked in my life for how I was like extremists. And I didn't have to look very far. Not very long ago, I had my first husband was spending Christmas with us. My first husband is the father of my dear son, who is a symphonic conductor and a professional classical pianist. My first husband has a sense of humor that is unchanged, and it is kind of minimizing of others sometimes, including himself. He's an equal opportunity joke teller. And so it's kind of belittling humor, and it's something that I didn't like all along. But we were talking, and my son was talking about something that he was moving into, a career step that he was moving into. And then it became like a slow motion train wreck. I could see the sparkle in my ex-husband's eyes, and I knew the very old joke that he was going to tell. And as I can feel this in me now, as he was rising up to tell this stupid joke, I was rising in rage. And the joke was, Michael, think how good you'll be when you can play with two hands. The piano. And he has a degree in piano playing, and so I blew up. I went off on this man who I knew what he was going to do. I knew he'd done it before. My son wasn't upset at this. I was a raging maniac not too many years ago when I was in this pulpit preaching talks about peace. And I swore, I raged, I said, how dare you? I probably said the F word 14 times. And when I caught myself, I was immediately ashamed. And I apologized, but the damage was done. Because even in our divorce, that man held me as the container of peace that he could walk into. And I thought, as I remembered this, I thought, we are like countries who offend each other. We are like ideologies that act out of another value system, and the other one attacks, because I was clearly the attacker. And so I apologized. I don't know where that came from, but it came from within me. And so I know the extremist feeling. And I, thank God, I don't live there, but I did for that moment. Another story comes from my friend Doreen. Doreen is one of my best friends. She's known by this community. She's a practitioner. She lived in Saudi and raised a daughter there for more than a decade. And she is back in this country now, and she's writing a book called Spirit in Saudi. And she does a workshop. I want to bring her here because she talks about the spirituality of the Middle East, having stories like, they're just like us. So I said to her, she was in my house this week, and I said, what can I tell them about 9/11? So she told me a couple of stories. And she said, after 9/11, one of my friends was coming back to the compound from an airport in the United States after the plane started up again. And she said there was a Saudi mother in an abaya with 3 children in the airport. And there was a space of 30 feet around her. And so this woman who lived in Saudi went and sat with her and talked to her. And she noticed that she was rubbing her elbow. And she said, are you okay? And the woman said, I was attacked with a baseball bat. Probably somebody that we might know that goes to work, has kids of their own, and slipped into that extremist position. And so I want us to not make such a difference between us and them, and to have what we have learned be nothing good is accomplished through hate, ever. And everything good is accomplished by love. And the outpicturing of love is oneness. Oneness means we are all connected, and connection demands compassion and a search for understanding. So I was looking in this book, the Thich Nhat Hanh book, Peace is Every Step, which the title is the inspiration of the song that Bodhi wrote that closes our service most Sundays. And I was looking for that story of the rape of the young Vietnamese boat girl who resulted in her suicide. And he said that it's easy to feel compassion for the rape victim, but it is harder to feel compassion for the pirates. But we must. But on the way to finding that story, I didn't find that story, I found this. There are many kinds of seeds in us, both good and bad. Some were planted during our lifetime, and some were transmitted by our parents, our ancestors, and our society. Our ancestors and our parents have given us seeds of joy, peace, and happiness, as well as seeds of sorrow, anger, and so on. Every time we practice mindful living, we plant healthy seeds and strengthen the healthy seeds already in us. If we plant wholesome, healing, refreshing seeds, they will take care of the negative seeds, even without our asking them. To succeed, we need to cultivate a good reserve of refreshing seeds. So I'm going to call Bodhi up, and we're going to sing once again the opening song with holding in mind what I've told you so far. Just drop down.
May we learn to live in love. May we learn to forgive every day. May we come from the place where there's no need to blame. May we recognize that deep inside we're all the same. May we learn to live in love. May we learn to forgive every day. May we come from a place where there's no need to blame. May we recognize that deep inside we're all the same.
And so the second question I want to ask us is, what do we pass on? I don't know if you saw it, but on the internet this week there was something going around that were new images of the destruction, new photographs from the airplanes that were flying overhead. as the towers came down. And at the end of these new images that reminded us of the old images, it said, "Pass this on." I didn't. But one thing that I am going to pass on to you is Reverend Mary Marie Shelton, who is also a friend of this community, spent the night this week. I had my hotel going this week. And Reverend Mary was here to do a wedding yesterday. It was beautiful. And she and I were talking about this, and she is friends of a family who lost a dad on Flight 93, who had a 5-year-old daughter at the time, who is now 15 years old. And she has a video. And in this video she says, there must be another way besides war. And that is what I want to pass on. And so if you get my email letters, you will get the link to this amazing 15-year-old child talking about her dad, her life, and what she wants for the world. So I want to pass on stories of first responders. Now, Newsweek had some things I didn't like, but they had some things I did like this week. This is the Samaritan who was helping. He was just a volunteer. He worked for a financial organization, and he helped carry out the dying chaplain of the New York Fire Department. And this is what he's doing 10 years from now. Still, working in Wall Street, but remembering peace. So I want to talk about that and pass that on. The stories of the first responders. I want to pass on stories of all religions and faiths praying together. I want to pass on that the teachings of all religions talk about peace and oneness. So out of this little book that I pulled out of my shelf, this is the little chapter that is Conquer with Love from the Islamic Quran. Recompense evil, conquer it with good. From the Christian Bible. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. From the teachings of Buddha. Conquer your foe by force, and you increase his anger. Conquer by love, and you will reap no after sorrow. And so all of the religions talk about love and oneness and connection and forgiveness and no blaming, and we all fall short. I fell short. I fall short. I fall short of the teachings of oneness and compassion. I still get a little bit annoyed, not so angry, but I let that side of me come out. I blame sometimes. And we are in a religion, in a denomination, in a world culture that tells us that forgiveness and inclusion is available to us. And so as we sing this next song, take that in. Must we never forget? So at the end of the video of the destruction, after it said pass it on, or maybe it was before it said pass it on, it said never forget. So what is it that we never forget? We never forget that we have enemies because we were attacked. If we remember that, we will reap sorrow. The greatest force known in the universe is love, the self-givingness of God that gave us our life. And when we pass that on in all of its beautiful forms, that's what we get more of. Centered in love and acting from love can never bring anything but healing. Love is the universal healer. So the other story that my friend Doreen told me, and I hope I can do this without having to stop. After 9/11 happened, and they kind of realized that the pilots and so forth were Saudi. The people on the compound were very frightened. And the people who live on compounds in Saudi and work in the oil companies are from all over the world. And everybody was frightened. And there was increased protection all around the compound, but everybody was still frightened, and they raised their families there. So the parents were at the bus stop when the bus let off the children, waiting just to make sure their children came home safely from school. And there was an old Saudi bus guard that had served the children for years. And he felt the fear of the parents. And not speaking to them very much, but just taking care of the children, usually he turned to the parents and he said, "I love these children as if they were my own, and I would die for them." So that's love. And that is the universal healer that will bring heaven to earth. So love is the answer to every question, especially in questions of who is right and who is wrong, or who's on the winning side, because there's no sides in love. And so, as we sing this song, take this home with you and let it live in your heart forever. As we move into the inner work, I'd like to read to you the quote from Ernest Holmes that's in the bulletin today. You can look at it if you want. Peace comes from the absence of fear, from a consciousness of trust, from a deep underlying faith in the absolute goodness and mercy, the final integrity of the universe in which we live, and of every cause to which we give our thought, our time, and our attention. If we would have peace outwardly, we must first realize peace inwardly. And so, as we answer these questions, what have we learned in 10 years? let us be able to answer that oneness is the reality, that connection exists, one culture, one ideology to another, one country to another, one religion to another. And what do we pass on? We pass on to our children that compassion is the healing force, that hate never works, and that connection one unto another makes a strong world. And lastly, what must we never forget? That love is the universal healer. And when in doubt, love. Love one another. Love your enemies. Love your neighbors. Love God. And love God in you as you. Blessed be. So before the offering, we have an extra little ceremony to do. It's a graduation ceremony. And Bodhi will play our traditional, you'll get what it is. And as I call your name, where is this now? As I, Posey, you took something of mine? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I'm sorry to. Okay. Forgive me. Okay. As I call your name, I want you to stand and remain standing and imagine that you have a mortarboard with a tassel hanging down the left side. Foundations, winter of 2010. Debbie Barrett, Barbara Crow, Linda Haggerty, Sonia Holman, Carolina Kabalstad, Stacy Love, Pat Marcelli, Joa Marku, Holly Matthews, Charlene Roberts, Pat Sandry, Helen Stavro, Beyond Limits Fall 2010, Jackie Barnes, John Bonaparte, Mary Cosgrove, Jean Carlson, Jay Gustafson, Gail Harris, Claire Hart, Suzanne Karch, Kathy Wilcox, Beyond Limits Winter 2011, Susan Cohen, Meg Ellis, Leslie Gianetti, Stacy Love, David Ricard, Ananda Wildflower, Spiritual Practices, Winter 2010, Karen Drucker, Deborah Higgins, Carl Jansen, Carolyn Jansen, 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life, Spring 2010, Debbie Barrett, Joan Hyde, Charlou Roberts, Pat Sandry, Patricia Stam, Visioning, Susan Coity, Barbara Crow, Leslie Gianetti, Cindy Lou Jansen, Ted Marino, Diana Smith, Practitioner Studies Year 1, Sophie Fleming, Hillary Kane, Deborah Paul, Sue Ruda, Practitioner Studies Year 1, Lori Greer, Scott Murchison, Katrina Paulson, Practitioner Studies Year 2, Sophie Fleming, Deborah Paul, and Practitioner Studies Year 2, Lori Greer and Sue Ruda. You are the graduates of the years of 2010 and 2011. The wisdom that you have achieved, you are now giving to the world. Thank you for contributing to this community and to the world beyond. And so now, if you would grasp the tassel on the left side and move it to the right side, and then take your mortarboard and throw it in the air and everything. And I'm pleased to say that your certificates are in the folders alphabetical on the class table. And now, if you would please move, the ushers, move to your place in the back of the room. And if you would prepare your tithe and offering to the peace that passes understanding, to this community that stands for peace and stands for love, and to the technology that is beaming this great philosophy around the world in this moment. So for spreading this philosophy in your own lives and in the lives of those that you love and our children to come, bless your offering and send it off with faith. And so it is. You I receive, to you I give, to offering, the full, compassionate hearts that gave into these baskets. And as this supply moves out into the world, it goes with the energy of this blessed place. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for marking this day with me. And so, Posey, would you please pray us out?
So would the practitioners please surround the room, and those who are on service this morning come forward. If you have anything on your heart, whether it's a gratitude, a sorrow, anything that you would like prayer for, these beloveds who come to the front of the room are available to pray with you. And so please join me if you wish, perhaps by closing your eyes and taking a deep breath, and know that that which you are breathing in is pure spirit, which is unconditional love and the peace that passeth understanding. And as you release the breath, allow that love, that peace of spirit to pour forth from you, from your heart, from your unique expression of spirit, to spread out, to bless this planet. We are so, so, so blessed to be in community together. And so I invite each one in to feel your heart open and expand, right, left, back, front, to allow yourself to be filled with that love of spirit, with that peace that passeth understanding, to fill your heart, your soul, your mind, your being, and know that each one of us is a blessing as we take that out. And so just take a moment to breathe it in, to feel that blessing, to sense that presence, to allow that love, that peace in and out, in and out, circulating, blessing, filling, being as each one of us in this room. How sweet it is to breathe together, to remember together who and what we are. Blessed be.
And now would you all stand for our affirmation and closing song. And so, with me, just like each other person, I am striving for a life of peace. So that is what goes forth from me. Just like all seekers, I love my path to God, and I respect all others. I know that peace on earth begins with me, so may I be the peace I want to see.